Hello, friends and folks, and welcome back to another Neutral Game podcast. It's your newbie-friendly fighting game podcast. I am Six Detmar from Scanline Media, your regular co-host, but I have someone else in store for you today. Miodrag is living their life,
Just
but who
living.
isn't?
Me?
Yeah, is
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, it's me. New challenger approaches. I'm Kyrie Page of Scanline Media.
Kyrie, you and I both like to fight in fighting games. Obviously, in our interpersonal relationships, we like to get along and be friends.
Yes, but I would say we settle it in Smash, but we play. I was about to say a real fighting game, but I backed off because I was worried that'd be too mean.
Yeah. No, we let's just say we leave it all out on the field. There's no time for hard feelings when all of them have been concentrated into our fists.
Or in this case, hitting buttons on a joystick.
Yeah, the ends of our like
our little fingers. Yeah.
Mostly, I think there's a lot going on with my pointer and middle finger. That's where a lot of the buttons. That's where the magic happens.
I kind of use. Okay, so like. When I play, like, fighting games, like, when I play French bread fighting games and also Arxis fighting games, because they commonly have, like, 3-4 button setups, what I like to do is, like, for example, Under Night, I put A, B, and C, basically corresponding with my index, middle, and ring finger, and then D is on my thumb.
Yeah, I do the same thing.
Yeah. Like, it's just... feels more natural for me. I do it for Dragon Ball as well. I have the tag buttons like on the, if you have the 8-button layout, I have them on the end so I can I have to shift my hand a little to tag in and out, but it's an option. It's a button that I use, you don't use that as frequently as your light, medium, heavy, and key button. So
honestly, I really think that what I do, since it sounds like we have similar styles, I think you should try light, medium, heavy, and then special / key, tag 1, tag 2. So just only using 6 buttons. I find you don't have to stretch.
Okay. You know what?
It's a good layout.
I think I tried that layout at the game was not necessarily it was relatively new. I think I was at. Came out 2018, 2019, Dragon Ball?
No way it was 2019. It's definitely older than that.
Pretty sure it's 2018.
It was 2017.
2017, jeez. Okay. I don't know. It's kind of irrelevant. When I was at Anime USA, I remember we had arcade setups, custom arcade cabinets there, and I played DBFZ with the 6-button layout, and I remember doing okay with that. So I don't know, maybe I'll give that a shot. I've played Street Fighter, I've gotten used to the 6-button layout, without a problem, but it's just it's one of those things where I just naturally want to use the top row and then just let my thumb do a dedicated button hit. It's
makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But we're here to talk about the latest beta in the world of fighting games. We've been playing DNF Duel, which is the fighting game made by Aiding and Arxis, adapting Dungeon Fighter Online.
Yep. Dungeon Fighter Online, if I recall correctly, it is a Korean... It's kind of an MMO. It's if I recall, the basic premise of Dungeon Fighter Online is that you are basically playing, you're playing a sort of beat 'em up, but you have fighting game inputs in the game. You your dragon punches, your fireballs, things like that. Dungeon Fighter Online seems to have a pretty sizable fan base. If we first heard about DNF Duel, I believe, in December of 2019. I think that's when the first trailer dropped. I could look it up real quick just to be 100% sure, but while I'm here. So this trailer kind of comes out of nowhere. Where it was at a convention or like a festival for Dungeon Fighter. And it just was like they showed the logos and it was Arxis, was lending development to the game. Like they are, I don't know the exact role they have. Okay, yeah, it was 11 months ago when the first trailer for DNF Duel came out, and we only got like a 60-second trailer, and it would show snippets of the different fighters, and we'll talk about the different fighters in a little bit. But then it was literally radio silent for like 11 months. Like, granted, this was like, around like when the pandemic kind of started. So you can kind of infer that, maybe development of DNF Duel got slowed down because, suddenly everybody was working from home. So they didn't have that much to show. But then about a month or so ago, they just started popping up trailers like for characters on their YouTube page. And
like really consistently.
Yeah, really consistent. Like we're talking every couple of days, we'd get a new trailer. Where they just like, granted, these were short trailers. You basically got the character's intro sequence, a few snippets of a few combos, their super, and then like their outro, and then the logo, DNF Duel, who's next? Like, who's next is like kind of the tagline for this game. And then just like a few weeks ago, they announced a beta, free beta over the weekend of it was this last weekend, right? Yeah, why am I in January? Oh, because I was putting in my work schedule. Yeah, it was through the 17th through the 19th. And it was a worldwide beta. Although, interestingly, I don't think the beta was live in Germany because of ratings problems.
Yeah, I think, they are having some ratings issues over there. It's interesting. There are a few things that are sort of interesting context for this. First of all, DNF, you may think that's Dungeon, the end on the end fighter, right?
Right.
That's not true.
Not true at all.
Because the Korean name for this game is Dungeon and Fighter. So it's Dungeon and Fighter. And it's just Dungeon Fighter Online in America because they thought Dungeon and Fighter was a weird name for Americans, which I think they were pretty much right. Also, this game is from 2004, is Dungeon Fighter. And I played some of it this week. They never had like a redo the graphics thing. This game looks ancient.
I remember playing it like, so it's been on Steam for a long time, and you shouldn't play the Steam version because apparently it randomly bans you, like you experienced.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know this, but I remember like long time ago, this was like when Steam was kind of new, that they just released different free games and MMOs and stuff. I remember playing Dungeon Fighter Online for like an hour or two. It thought like, this is like a weird thing. It wasn't my thing. I only really like, the only MMO that's ever clicked with me like ever was, Final Fantasy 14. But so I guess it's like, per that context, it seems like anybody who kind of knows me, I have been talking up this game quite a bit. I would post the new character trailers on Twitter. I would talk about it because I have been incredibly excited for this game. And I guess the reason for it being is, if I don't have an attachment to Dungeon Fighter, Like, what am I so excited by? And it's like, it's not just Arxis, because Arxis puts out some great fucking fighting games. But it's just that, like you said earlier, aiding.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about aiding a little bit. Aiding,
why not?
Aiding is a kind of a weird company. They've been around for quite some time, mostly doing like port work, kind of like back in the day. I think their original company title was like Azing, and then it became Aiding. Rising. Was their original. They were mostly known for shoot 'em ups. But then they developed a fighting game called Bloody Roar. That was in cooperation with Hudson, like before Hudson was like acquired by Konami. Like, I think Konami is the company that currently has the Bloody Roar license. And they've done
sounds distinctly possible.
Yeah,
I'm sure, like all their licenses, Konami has taken very good care of it.
Absolutely, obviously. Sidebar about Bloody Roar. Casey Montillo, I believe their name is, the voice of the Netflix dub of Shinji. They are helping a fan project to redub Bloody Roar into English.
Okay, sure.
Funny that. So, I guess that kind of speaks to my larger point, is that aiding fighting games have, like, I guess they have really small followings, except for one, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But they did Bloody Roar 3, Bloody Roar 4. They did the Clash of Ninja games on GameCube, or the Naruto Gekito Taisen, I believe is the Japanese title. They did 4 of those. They've had some stinkers, I'm not gonna lie. They did Zatch Bell Momondo battles, couple others. They're mostly go ahead.
TVC, you got to shout out Tatsunoko versus Capcom.
Yeah, that's the other thing. You got games like Tatsunoko versus Capcom, Fate Unlimited codes.
I mean, not a fighting game, but you can see the connection. They did work on Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate.
Yeah. And then a couple of years ago, this was the last game they worked, like one of the last games they worked on, like fighting game wise. They did Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
And the base one.
And the base, yes. And I don't know if their logo doesn't if you did not know until this point that aiding worked on Marvel vs. Capcom 3, I would not what's the word I'm looking for? It's like I would not blame you, because you don't see aiding's logo anywhere. You see Marvel Comics, Capcom Presents. I did that backwards. We fix it in post.
I mean, it's kind of, it's like they do with Street Fighter, right? When you play Street Fighter 4 and Street Fighter 5, Capcom's like, oh, this is a Capcom game. And they don't mention the fact that they basically outsourced all the development.
Yeah, to Dimps, specifically. Yeah, Dimps did all the Street Fighter 4 versions and have been working on Street Fighter 5 for a while. So they did Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which the last weekend or so at CEO, they had it on the main stage. Marvel vs. Capcom 3 has a huge following in the US. Definitely in the US. I don't know about necessarily any other region, but
yeah.
I think we all saw the story on Twitter of that elderly couple that entered into the Marvel 3 tournament. And everybody was just enamored with that. But yeah, people love Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. And I think broadly with aiding, my relationship with aiding fighting games, especially with Tatsunoko versus Capcom, I really love Tatsunoko versus Capcom. I remember I was at there was a midnight release for it at GameStop or whatever, and all my friends at the time were picking up Mass Effect 2, and I picked up Tatsunoko versus Capcom. I still think I won in that exchange.
Mm-hmm. So they might disagree. Who knows? Because they probably never played Tatsunoko versus Capcom.
Exactly. Like, to me, the thing that makes me excited about DNF Duel, and we will talk about the gameplay of DNF Duel in a little bit, but I just wanted to preface it with that I feel that Aiding, as a company, the way they design their fighting games, you can see this in TVC, Fate Unlimited Codes, in Marvel 3, that they seem to have this approach of basically giving players every toy in the toy box to play with.
Yeah, I don't think you could, if you told them that their game was broken, I don't think they'd take that as an insult.
Exactly.
And that's for better and for worse.
For better and for worse. Like, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, we've had it like a decade with this game, and people have pretty well understood that, like, Virgil is, like, the most powerful character in that game, to the point where if you watch any, like, ratio tournaments online, Virgil is just straight up banned because, like, he's worth, like, 12 points out of 10 possible. And they want to encourage people to use, like, lower tier characters. But,
or, I mean, one of my favorite players, Apology Man, plays the classic Firebrand team, which breaks the rules of a team game. The idea is that you're supposed to have 3 characters and 3 life bars. When the Firebrand team is played correctly, if you get hit once, the game is over.
Yes. But that's kind of like, those moments, like, those cases are incredibly broken. But Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, over the decade lifespan it's had, you can see, like, so much player creativity and expression. You can see people who just come up with these bizarre teams. Like, one of my personal favorites is I Heart Justice, who he plays Point Phoenix Wright. No, I think is it Point Phoenix Wright?
It's Point Phoenix Wright. It's Point Phoenix Wright. He plays Captain America. I don't remember his third.
Anchor, Doctor Strange.
Sure. Okay. Yes.
And, like, Doctor Strange is, like, I think generally a pretty mid to upper tier character, but, you know, Phoenix Wright and Captain America aren't that high on the list. But the way I Heart Justice plays them, the way he understands those characters, he makes them look like just, they look bananas. They look so fun to play. And that's the thing that really excites me about DNF Duel, is with the short time I've had with it, I can see, like, I don't know, truthfully, I don't know if this game is going to have, like, legs 10 years or whatever, but I genuinely think that what we have already with DNF Duel shows, like, Aiding's design philosophy of, fuck it, go nuts. You know,
I definitely think that's fair to say, and I have, I guess, you know, as offended, I have problems with that as well as appreciation for that.
Sure. Well, let's talk about some of the problems with that. Let's get into DNF Duel itself, because okay. I want to hear, like, your thoughts before I gush about the game.
So, DNF Duel is a 1v1 fighter. It has mostly it has simplified inputs. You can do like the game it's based on, Dungeon Fighter Online. You can do like 1-button skills, or you can do a motion and it makes you recover MP a little faster. And MP is the resource used to do the enhanced sort of EX basically moves.
Right.
I don't know. I think it is closer to, like, it is an anime fighter, but it's not the anime fighter. It's closer to like a Grand Blue Versus, where you don't, like, for example, you don't have a double jump or an air dash. You also can't air block. It can, like, action can happen very fast, but movement is not very fast.
No. Like, in my, like, when playing DNF Duel, like, the characters, I wouldn't say sluggish. Like, the charitable read is that a movement is supposed to be deliberate in this game, but you think the way the game looks, like, there's a tradition of anime fighters or anime style fighting games to have this, like, really intense, like, quick movement, especially if you come off of, you know, recent games like, you know, Guilty Gear Strive, Melty Blood, like things of like anime games of that nature. Like Strive's a little slower, like, but if you go back like one game prior with Guilty Gear Exard, like if you watch like pro Exard play, it's nuts. People are moving all over the screen, especially, and also Type Lumina, the new Melty Blood game, like movement is so quick in that game.
Yeah.
But DNF Duel is definitely slower of a game.
Except for, of course, when you get up close, where, I mean, that's the thing, is that though the movement is slower, once you get up close, it explodes into anime fighter action, right? Combos are like intricate, but like they're flashy and do a lot of damage, but they're not that hard to execute, at least the ones we've discovered so far.
Right.
And yeah, it's just very, very, I think I think what it's going for, and I think it mostly achieves, is sort of like Street Fighter-ish levels of like positioning and pacing and sort of the slow looking for an opportunity, but then when you get an opportunity, explodes into anime violence.
Oh yeah, absolutely. When you get, like you said, when you get up close, you can just pull out these absurd combo strings and start laying down some like serious damage. You made a comparison to Grand Blue earlier, and I feel that it's appropriate. So if you haven't played Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, one of the core things of that game's mechanics is that the special moves have cooldown, based upon whether you do the direction plus special input, or you do the traditional fighting game input with that,
or EX.
Yeah. It has different properties, but those were tied to the move itself. So it wasn't a situation where if you do Catalina's like ice missile thing, I think it was an ice missile thing. I don't know. I haven't played the game in a while. Not ice missile.
It's just like a sword shot.
Sword shot, yeah. It's a fireball for all intents and purposes. You couldn't string together 3 of those, for example. DNF Duel has the MP bar that rapidly fills up. Like, this game just drowns you in meter. And the idea is that with the game's like systems, one of the core systems in DNF Duel is like the ability to cancel moves. You can spend a little bit of meter to cancel pretty much any move in the roster, in your move list. Like, I think there are some exceptions. I'm sure people will find them, but pretty much anything can be canceled, especially with the conversion system. But the idea is that, say you're playing as like Striker or something and do her like whirlwind kick move, you can in theory string a couple of those together with the MP system. And
this isn't, you say in theory, this is not a theory. You probably don't know this, but I mentioned regular co-host Miodrag Kovacevic. We played a bunch of games, actually.
Okay.
Because I was up late on Sunday nights and it was early Sunday morning for him, and so we played. I don't know, 20 games or something.
Right.
And he's a Striker main.
Right.
And he's better than you. He's better than me. Right. He played a lot of the beta. And by the end of that, I felt like that was very eye-opening for both the potential of this game. Like, it leaned even harder. It felt more aiding after that set.
Absolutely.
Because I lost most of those games, right? Which, not surprising. But the thing that drove me crazy was that what Miodrag would do is a couple of tricks. One, you do the dive kick, and then after the dive kick is blocked, you're still airborne, so you get like 3 or 4 free overheads, which is fucked up.
Yeah.
And then also the fact that with meter, you can do the whirlwind kick block string, and it's safe on block, and you can do like 5 of them and do about 40% of someone's life in gray damage if they block it. And then you just land a hit, and then you get all that damage. It's broken. Like, I legitimately think it is fucked. And this is a beta of a game that's not out for like 6 months.
Yeah, they announced.
But like,
they recently announced the release date to be summer 2022. Expect that to be pushed by a couple of months by just the nature of game development. So we're probably going to be looking at fall, but continue.
And it's fascinating, but the thing that scares me is if it was anyone but Aiding, they'd see that and go, oh, we better do something about that. Aiding very well might not. And it wasn't fun for me to do everything right and lose 40% life. That sucks shit, actually. Also, every part of that, it's not a true block string. Every part of it is a frame trap.
It's pretty nuts.
It's fucked.
Yeah.
It's unreal. Like, I legitimately was discussing, like, so am I better off just getting hit by this combo? Because it seems like I might be better off. At least then I'll get knocked down and I can tech and possibly get a 50-50. Like, just, and I think that's, like, I think that's a particularly rough example in this game, but I don't think it's, like, it's certainly not singular. You've got, like, Crusader in this game, who is a dude who can make walls, and he can two-touch you. With, like, round start, he can two-touch you.
Yeah, I distinctly remember early in Strive's life, people were talking about damage values and thinking they needed to move to a 3-round or best of 5 round structure for that game, to which I don't necessarily think Guilty Gear Strive needs to have best of 5. DNF Duel probably needs it. Like,
probably does. Yeah.
Because games can be over in an instant. Like, the same way how, you know, Tekken has like 60-second timers and those games are like really fucking fast. DNF Duel is a really quick game. Yeah. It is like, if you just scroll, like if you go on the DNF Duel like tag on Twitter, you will see people like throughout the beta weekend posting just nutty stuff, which is, truth be told, what I was hoping for. Because it was like, I want to see the fucked up nonsense people can come up with. Granted, there is some fucked up nonsense that is genuinely not fun, like the grappler infinite that was found. I think they're going to fix that, because like infinites are a little more okay in a team-based fighter, like, you know, Marvel 3, or they don't have any in DBZ, but, you know, in those style of games, an infinite is a little bit more excusable because, you know, you have 3 characters and you really have to commit to the combo in such a way that, like, you have to be in certain conditions, like the TAC infinites in Marvel 3. You know, you really have to know your stuff, and you have to waste like 30-40 seconds of time.
Or even, I mean, like, one of the ones that I believe never got fixed was Street Fighter 4's El Fuerte, like, run stop cancel infinite, yeah. Which was like, that was okay because every single step of it was a 1-frame link. Nobody was capable of maintaining it for long in tournament, and so it's like, this is okay. But like, this grappler one is like unbelievably easy.
Yeah. It's just like, what, quarter circle back special.
Well, you don't even need to do the quarter circle. Oh, you can just hold away from the enemy and hit the skill button and just do that every time, and you'll just get the combo.
You see, that's the type of thing that I think aiding will take out, because, like, to me, the type of fucked up nonsense that defines an aiding game, like, I distinctly think about how in Fate Unlimited Codes, you could just do Lancer's entire bone of my sword speech and get like a huge attack from it. It's incredibly hard to pull off and incredibly impractical, but it's cool as fuck when it happens. Or, you know, coming back to like Marvel 3, you have like Phoenix Wright, who has like turnabout mode that you can enter, but there's a lot of really specific conditions. Like, that's the stuff to me that I really enjoy about aiding games, in that, you know, it gives, like, even when it's not necessarily practical, it's cool.
Sure. Yeah.
Like I know this isn't like, I don't know how much weight this like necessarily carries, but I remember after you and I played some games on like the last day of the beta, and then you played a few games with Jennifer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember talking to her about it, and I overheard her. She was just playing the game for like a couple minutes. She was like, "Oh, I'm doing really cool stuff."
Yeah.
Like I think that's one of the biggest strengths that DNF Duel has right now, is that you could just do cool things really quickly in this game. And I think, after the game comes out, the pros are going to be able to find the optimal combo routes and things like that. Like, that stuff is going to be well understood. But I think that, to me, the thing that makes, like, Aiding's style of fighting game design work is you should just be able to kind of pick up a character and start doing cool-looking things. Like, you just start from there, because that's the thing that gets people interested in playing a fighting game, is like, when you're at like level 0 or level 1 or whatever you want to say, like that type of player only cares about like, oh, can I do a cool thing? And I think DNF Duel is really successful at letting you do a cool thing.
Mm-hmm. I also want to give some credit to DFO itself and Neeple, the developer of that, because the designs we're working with are like, they're slightly modified, but they are just characters from DFO, and the designs are really like, I don't think there's a design in the game that I don't think is cool, and also that doesn't communicate what they do very well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, you take one look at these, like, characters, and you know exactly what their deal is. You can get a pretty good idea of, like, how they play before you even pick up, like, the stick. You look at fucking Ranger, and it's like, oh, he's like a weird cowboy man with double revolvers. He probably shoots his guns a lot and is a zoner. Grappler is wearing a black gi, But more than that, like, probably one of the coolest design-wise characters is the character I think you gravitated towards, Hitman.
Yes.
Hitman is fucking cool. He has those like little round sunglasses that he puts into his pocket, pulls out a fucking katana and like, what is it, a submachine gun?
Mm-hmm. And a detail that I really love is he has this submachine gun. He's not a zoner. I mean, like, he has great normals, so he's that style of zoner.
Uh-huh.
But the way it works is that the muzzle flash of his gun is a hitbox. There are no bullets. And it's great.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like, even the biggest dweebus of them all, Crusader. Hallowed be thy Oki. May you always be plus. Go forward and
Jesus Reflector.
Even like, I mean, he's very clearly designed after old school D&D clerics.
Mm-hmm.
But he's this massive motherfucker with a huge hammer.
He's just so yoked. He's like, listen, Jesus was a carpenter, so you gotta lift, baby.
Ripped like Jesus. Like, yeah, every character, like, I think when you look at the roster, and they're expanding the roster as well, like, I think they announced, like, 3 more characters after the beta. Like, we have, like, a ghost samurai man who was announced in the latest trailer. It's just that, like, these characters, like you said, instantly communicate to you how these characters should play, but also be just incredibly visually appealing. And I think that's one of the things I think is going to help this game is Arxis is a co-developer on this game, and they have clearly lent like their graphics engine to aiding, right? Or they may they may just be handling the graphics side of it while aiding focuses on, you know, mechanics, right?
Right.
And it has that same style that we've seen in Dragon Ball, we've seen it in Guilty Gear, we've seen it in Grand Blue. Like that style is still really appealing. I mean, granted, you know, nothing's going to be as fucking cool as when the first Exard trailer came out. A brief aside, I was in a store. Ever heard of like Play and Trade? I don't know if they had them in the West Coast.
No, I don't. It's not familiar.
I think it might have been a East Coast thing. Basically, it was a GameStop style store, but they also sold retro games as well. So that's where I would go to get like PS2 games, you know, SNES, even going back to Atari. It was a really cool store. I think mine in Maryland shut down a while ago, unfortunately. You know, the market's rough out there. But I was just, you know, hanging out. I was checking out the games, right? And I was just chatting with the clerk, because it was just like me and the clerk, and I kind of knew him. And we had gotten to talking about fighting games. I said, oh, I really like Guilty Gear, right? Whatever. Just a conversation keeps going. Then he says to me, hey, there's a new Guilty Gear trailer. I was like, excuse me? So he turns his computer screen so I can see it. I look over the counter. We didn't have any sound. But the moment the camera turned,
it's when he does the dust and the camera turns.
Well, it's specifically like the moment is like when Kai and Soul's swords clash.
Oh, right, in that first one it is the clash.
Yeah, it is the clash, and the camera spins around, in which we both lost our goddamn minds.
Yeah.
And I was like, can I pre-order this now? And he was like, it doesn't even have a date attached to it. It was like, I know, I just want to give you money right now. I would show this trailer to people who aren't even into fighting games, and their jaw would drop. Like, yeah. And again, it's like that style looks really cool, and it works really well for DFO's style. It really communicates like the big exaggerated characters, but they're also incredibly readable. You know, the fists and feet are like well defined so that you can see where every hitbox is. Like, even though like this game can become very fast in the in like at close range, you never get this. For me anyway, you don't really get the sense of like getting lost in a visual slurry. Like, I think that's one of the things that ArcSys like really provides with their pipeline with making these types of fighting games, is that they are incredibly like readable in a split second, which is what you need in a fighting game. You know, this goes back all the way back to Street Fighter 2, when the artists in Street Fighter 2 said, it's like, yeah, we exaggerate the hands and feet in that game so that you can see where, you know, everything is in a moment's notice.
And also, I mean, I think an important thing to highlight is, you know, there's, you know, we've had these games that have used this art style, right? Or this graphical engine. We've had, you know, Dragon Ball Fighters or Grand Blue Versus or Guilty Gear, of course. And a thing that I feel bears saying, right, is this like particular style of like Korean fantasy art, which I think doesn't get nearly enough credit. Like, there are no designs in this I don't think are sick. I can list someone from any one of those other ones that I don't think is sick. I don't think Chip looks cool. I don't think Axel Lowe looks cool.
No, they kind of look like dorks, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think fucking, like, Luane from Grand Blue looks cool. Everyone in DNF looks cool.
Yeah, the artists who worked on this game clearly, like, I don't know what the relationship between, like, ArcSys and Neepal, like, is, but it's very clear that the art team working on this game were able to, like one of the things that you can do in Dungeon Fighter Online is like your character can like ascend and like change form. and that is not represented mechanically in the game so far. But
and though you are playing like partially ascended characters,
yeah, but it was also very clear that the art team took a hard look at like, okay, what is the essence of Hitman? What is the essence of Dragon Knight? Like, how can we communicate? Like, how can we have the designs from these games faithfully recreated while not losing that thing that is so like unique to Korean fantasy, right? Like, yeah, the faces are like all anime or whatever, but like, it is very clear, like, the way the clothing is designed in the game. Like, the, like, dragon... I draw attention to Dragon Knight, like, with her extra bits and bobs, like, on her dress. And, like, she has a shoulder pauldron that has, like, a moving jaw of a dragon on it. And it's, like... Like, in like, almost any other design that would look clunky and weird or whatever, but like I said, with Korean fantasy, they do such a good job at, like, it just looks dope.
I'm gonna give you the final ascensions of first my fighter and then yours.
Okay. All right, let me see.
So there's Final Hitman.
Oh yeah, holy shit. We got ourselves like a green coat, like over his shoulders. He has like is that a cummerbund? In the
I think that's what that is.
Yeah, I think so. Like wispy white hair. Yeah, that's
got like a winged like badge on his chest.
Yeah.
Now this one is gonna send you for a loop. You're gonna have a reaction to this. Here's the end of Brawler.
I'm leaning back in my chair.
So
damn, girl, what?
We have a skin tight, sleeveless, like purple snakeskin shirt with black leather down the side. We have a leather coat with a bunch of spikes on the shoulders. She's got a ton of piercings. She's got a bunch of scars. She looks so hardcore.
She looks. Hey. To Arxis, Nipple, aiding, whatever, by the way, aiding, if you're listening, I fucking love you. But this is mostly to the art department. Get these costumes in the game, please.
It's a lot.
I know it's like a lot of work or whatever, but hey, just...
No, I'm not arguing against it. It's great. It's just, boy howdy.
Christ. So yeah, I don't know. I have just been, I guess to me, like, I have been positively vibrating over just how excited I've been for this game. And, you know, I recognize that there are going to be, like, there are some shortcomings to this game, sure. And also, let's talk briefly about, like, the beta itself was kind of weird. You can't play it anymore, obviously, since this came out. But it was kind of weird how... Okay, in order for you and I to find a game...
Sorry, one more.
One more. Okay, sorry. We'll get back to that in just a second.
It's Brawler. He's got like a wolf pelt coat over like a black and gold vest, a gray and red shirt that's like open to show a bunch of tattoos. He's got spiked bracelets and a bunch of belts wrapped around and chains wrapped around his fist.
Punished.
He's got an eye patch.
Punished grappler.
This is incredible.
Incredible art. Incredible design.
And there are alternate versions, like this is one of the jobs, right? You know what else, like, the male fighter can end up looking like? Little different.
This motherfucker looks like a Thunderbolt fantasy character. Like... What?
Little different.
Yeah,
there are possibilities here.
Yeah. Do yourself a favor, start Googling, like, Dungeon Fighter Online, like, Ascended forms. You'll... You'll be in for a treat. What the fuck was I talking about? You
Sorry, I just destroyed.
Okay, it's fine. The things that make me excited about this game and its shortcomings, like besides its shortcomings. Okay, now I remember. Okay, the beta itself. To find a game that we could play, we had to like you had to like make a room with an odd number of like people that could go in the room, and also change one of the rules that I would then hit the search button over and over until I saw your name pop up. Like, on one level, I kind of get what they were going for, why they didn't include like a training mode or local versus, when it was pretty clear. Like, I don't know how far into development this game is. Like, we're over 6 months away at this point. There's going to be a lot of work left to do on this game. And it seems like the purpose of this beta was to test the rollback netcode and, like, make sure that people could connect to games and fight each other. But still, it's a little annoying not to have, like, a training mode. But
yeah, I mean, I assume there has to be another beta they're gonna do.
They're probably gonna do another beta. I think they've said as much, that they're gonna deliver another beta like sometime soon. Who is that? What?
So, the priest can become the Inquisitor, which is her normal, the one that's in DNF Duel, or she can become the Mistress, who's a priestess who seduces people with the power of original sin.
Okay, we gotta have to play some fucking Dungeon Fighter Online. This game sounds...
This is how they get you.
Yeah. Okay, so I think, like, on some level, like, if I was a developer and I was trying to, like, I just want to test out how good the online connection is for this game, if you put in, like, a training mode, which, you know, people are saying, oh, you can put in a training mode, it's easy. Might not be that easy. We don't know how far into development this game really is. Like, making a demo or a beta is hard because it takes, like, developmental resources away from the main game to, like, make a weird fork of the game. And it's like, you know, if you include local online, like, local multiplayer or, like, a training mode, that is, like, shifting players away from the main thing you're there to test, which is the online. Like, this is my only assumption. This is my most charitable reading. I still think they could have also done, like, private lobbies, but again, it could just be they're not that far into the development phase right now.
I mean, this beta came out of nowhere.
Oh yeah,
it really did,
and I think that actually kind of helped it in a way because. Like we were, like, I was texting you, like, 48 hours, 24 hours before this beta, we knew nothing about this game. Like, we knew characters, and we kind of knew platform. Like, you know, we knew that it was on PS4 and PS5. But, like, that was it. That was, like... Yeah, and I think in a way that kind of helped the game because it had this, like... Yeah, I don't know if I want to say, like, air of mystery, but, like, people just didn't know what to expect. It was, like, people were just asking, what the fuck is this game? And what we found is it's pretty weird, you know, is a little goofy. But I think that there is a really solid foundation for what is to come. I think that I can't, you know, say for certain that, like, oh, 8ing's done it again because whatever, you know, we don't have the full game. But I love it when, like, a fighting game especially, or just really any game, gives me the ability to really express myself through systems. You know, like, I really value that. And I think with DNF Duel, it is going to open up a lot of avenues for player expression and just... I think at the end of the day, I don't know if it's going to have like a huge following or whatever. It might peter out, after a year or two, who knows. But I am so glad that aiding is back after such a long time away from fighting games. I really love this company, and I think that they bring something really special to fighting games as a genre that, I think, companies like Capcom and SNK and even ArcSys to a certain degree, not that this is necessarily a bad thing, but can sometimes feel a little set in their ways,
Mm-hmm.
Like, you play a fucking Street Fighter game, you know what you're getting. And that's fine. Like, Street Fighter is a very good fighting game, But sometimes I just want to play a game where I fucking do a dive kick and cancel into a Tatsumaki and just do some really fucking out there nonsense.
What about if you do a dive kick and you can cancel it into 4 overhead, like air jabs, which are overheads, or you can pause a millisecond and turn them into lows at any point?
Yeah.
It's fucked.
It's fucked. It is uniquely fucked. I think the thing that aiding does really well is by doing all these anime games, and they also did a pretty fun Kamen Rider fighting game, by the way, on the Wii. I played that with a friend over Dolphin net play. And for one, shout outs to the developers at Dolphin putting out what is arguably one of the greatest emulator programs of all time.
Not that you used it.
Not that I used it, obviously. But let's pretend I did. Wink. Mm-hmm. I'm winking really loudly, you see.
Don't wink in court. Winking in court's bad.
Winking in court is bad. Shit. The fucking net play when I was playing this 2008, 2009 fucking Kamen Rider Wii game with my friend over net play with Dolphin had better online than most fighting games I've played.
Yeah.
It's fucked up, but they capture a sense of like madness and wonder and just silliness in making fighting games, especially making all those anime fighting games. So really capturing the essence of what makes those anime battles in those shows so fun. Hell, fucking Gekito Taisen 4, Clash of Ninja 4 just got a fan patch called Super, GNT 4 that has a huge community apparently. You can play Clash of Ninja 4 at Combo Breaker, and there was enough people to do a tournament of that. I feel like I'm just kind of gushing at this point, but God, it's I just feel passionate about this game. And again, I have no connection to Dungeon Fighter Online at all, but now I'm really interested in it, and that's it's pretty cool.
I guess for me, the compliment I will give is no matter what, I'm going to have a lot of fun with this game. I tend to buy most new fighting games of note that come out just because I have so much interest in the genre and not too many come out. Mm-hmm. But sometimes I play them and I'm like, okay, that was useful, that was educational, and I had some fun, but whatever. Listen, The Last Soul Calibur was a perfectly good game. It was fine. I had a decent time with it, but I neither had a ton of fun at any moment, nor did I get super serious about it. Mm. Right now, the stakes for DNF Duel are, am I going to be able to get super serious about it? Even if I can't, even if I find that there are too many things that I find frustrating or obnoxious to deal with, I can tell I'm going to have a ton of fun with the game, and that's already a win.
Yeah. I think that I think that when the next, like, keep on the lookout for the next beta. Like, if you are still, like, on the fence about it or whatever, like, give it a try. Like, I don't know, betas are free. It's just download it. I don't know.
You don't even need PS Plus.
Yeah. Oh, you don't need PS Plus for online?
Nope, not for the beta.
There you go. It's yeah, just like give it a try. They'll probably push out another beta sometime soon. Real quick, I just wanted to mention in our matches, the rollback was pretty well. Rollback worked pretty well. We had some slowdowns, but that's kind of like to be expected.
It kind of felt like server stuff mostly. Like when I played with Miodrag, who's I'm in Southern California in the United States. Miodrag is in Sweden.
Mm-hmm.
There was no problem.
Yeah. I think it was just a matter of like everybody was just kind of hammering the servers, but it's like, hey, this is why you have betas so that you can hammer this stuff out. Yeah, I think we had, like, at max at any given time, like, 5 rollback frames or something like that. Besides, like, when it got, like, a little swimmy. But, like,
yeah.
Other than that, we had perfectly good matches, you know, when it randomly didn't disconnect us. But, again, that's probably server side. I imagine that's, like, top of the priority for the fixes. And also, another thing that'll be useful is... if you have played the beta, even if you really liked it or don't have any thoughts on it or whatever, they usually put out surveys, like generally a few weeks after the beta came out. Like, keep on the lookout for those surveys, and you know, just fill them out, give them feedback. Like, I'm gonna fill that survey out. One minor note. The audio mixing was like a little low. Did you notice this?
Yeah, absolutely. The voices were quite low.
Yeah,
in the mix.
Character voices, were mixed quite low. Like, I had all the settings at max, which is what they are on it by default. Music came through fine. Sound effects. It was just like the character dialogue. I don't know if this was like true if you switch the character dialogue to English or Japanese. Like, I played in Korean.
And you should.
As you should. Yeah, it's Korean MMO, Korean property.
And also, how often do you get to hear Korean voice acting? Just do it.
Yeah. It's really good. Yeah, it's like the audio mix was like really low for some reason. But other than that, I'm really happy about it. I'm going to try and like write a few more cohesive thoughts around the time this podcast goes up. You should be able to check the site. I'm going to have like a write-up, kind of like just reflecting some of the stuff we've talked about, talking about my feelings about aiding as a company, and also the beta itself, like what I'm looking forward to, what they need to improve on, things like that.
And also the class I'm probably going to play in Dungeon Fighter Online, the Spectre, which is a subclass of the female Slayer.
She's cool. I wanna print out this picture, take it to my endocrinologist, and be like, turn me into this.
Oh, here, let me get one for Jen.
All right, here we go. Yep.
Hers and hers.
Yeah. So, which one of you is?
Which one of you is the demon Joker, and which one of you is the horny Spec Ops lady?
Yeah. God. I don't know. You got any final thoughts about DNF Duel?
Please add more counterplay, is all I'm gonna say.
Yes.
Give me. I feel like I need more good options on defense. That is my number one.
Yeah. Yeah, like they have a dodge roll in the game, but that's not like you can. I did figure out one thing during the beta where like I could do a dodge roll, hit the conversion button, and basically eliminate the recovery frames on it. It was a little tricky for my hand to like kind of pull off just because I hadn't gotten used to the motion of it. But I imagine that'll help a lot when closing in. But more defensive options would be good, like. I don't know if I can, and alpha counter, or maybe like what do you think? Like an alpha counter or a push block or
an instant block or anything.
I'll have to look into it a little bit more, but I wonder if this has like kind of like Arxis games and French Red games kind of have this like cross-up protection system like kind of built in. I don't know if that's present in...
Well, you can... it has the Grand Blue Guard button. You can just hold that down if you're worried about getting crossed up.
Right, yeah. So, yeah, Yeah, fair. But yeah, more varied defensive options are good. DBFZ is pretty good at this. Like, I really like the defensive options in that game.
Anytime a brawler cancels the whirlwind kick into the whirlwind kick, the person on the other end should receive an electric shock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'd like that.
God. Yeah. But I think it's one of those things where again, this game's early in development. We're not going to see it for another half a year at the minute. What the?
No, I didn't post anything. We should keep talking.
Yeah, we should just keep talking about this weird, like, Calliope Mori fucking AU. You keep distracting me. Yeah, more defense.
You're too easily distracted by Korean fantasy art of hot women. It's not my fault.
Damn, you got me. I don't know. I'm excited. I think it's gonna be really cool. Can't wait to see what the pros think. I wanted to, I guess, end on like, there was a really great tweet by Yohose. She made a really great tweet about DNF Duel, and her thoughts basically her thoughts was like, this is like some of the most fun I've had in a fighting game, as like recently. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that's like, I don't know. I think the people who get their hands on it are just like there's something, they know that there's something there. And I'm really excited to see what it becomes.
Yeah. Definitely looking forward to seeing more of it. Yeah. There's no more complicated thoughts than that. I want to see more of it.
And I think like that's like one of the best things like a beta can do, is like a beta should get you like, be like, okay, it's like you had you had my attention, and I don't know, fuck it, it's late.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah, whatever. Don't even, fuck it, whatever. Six, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me at Sixdetmar, SIXDETTMAR. You can find my work at scanlinemedia.com or Patreon.com/Scanline Media. Wow, slipped and fell. Mm-hmm. What about you, Kyrie?
You can find me at Kyrie page, Twitter.com. That's where I post stuff. For now, I'm also, I'm the host of a Danganronpa podcast, Ultimate Despair Reprise. We recently recorded an episode on Ultra Despair Girls. Had a good talk about that, and we're going to be talking about Danganronpa 3, the anime, pretty soon. When we get, they'll probably, like, new episodes will probably start coming out after the holiday. Like, I've been pretty busy at my new job, so finding time is a little tough, but like, hey, I found full-time work. That's kind of the nature of the beast,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, check out those episodes. We have a bit of a backlog. We also have interviews. The latest interview I did with the voice of Ryu in English himself, Kyle Herbert. That was a fun one to talk about. Yeah, I don't know. check out my podcast, please. This is the most.
So they say that this character uses heavy armor.
What?
I don't agree.
She just sit up, fuck you. Okay, hold on. We need to take this off the air. We'll discuss this later.
All right, peace out.
See ya.